Hello everyone, hope you all are doing great. And in this video we are going to be talking about pie chart, and we're going to basically create a pie chart in SwiftUI using Canvas view. Okay, so Apple's newly introduced chart framework in iOS 16 makes it extremely simple to create charts and graphs for apps. But the library still lacks a few standard charts. For example, the pie chart. Pie chart is one of those charts that are missing from the current implementation. The pie chart is one of the most commonly used chart for data visualization, and we will create one from scratch in this video. Even though pie chart is not included in the chart framework out of the box, in SwiftUI it's very simple to create with some basic components. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started, and we will start with a simple data model. So we're going to create a struct which is going to conform to identifiable protocol, and we're going to basically use this struct as our data structure or data model to collect values in colors and names for the pie chart. And let's go ahead and add that, and also add some sample data that we can work with. Okay, so I'm going to start with a struct. We're going to call this pie model. We're going to make sure that it conforms to identifiable protocol. What that means is basically each individual entity is going to be identified by an ID, and SwiftUI doesn't have to do much work once it knows how to uniquely identify each entry. So we're going to basically create the ID, and we're going to initialize this value with UUID, and we're going to create this as a let. So as soon as the struct is created, basically the identity is assigned to it. Then other than this, we're going to need three different properties. One to hold the value for pie chart, which is going to be of double type. Color to basically show the slice color, and name, which is going to be of string type, which is going to act as a label. Now, as far as the sample data goes, I'm going to copy and paste some sample data, and we're going to use this, and we're going to have basically different colors and different values displayed, and we're going to use color names as the label. Okay, now what we need to do is we want to start creating our pie view, which is going to be our pie chart view, and we're going to basically, while we are building it, while we are displaying it, we want to actually also make sure it animates. So we're going to add a couple of state properties. One state property is going to dictate how the animation should play or when it should play, and the other one is going to be a slice variable, which is going to be a collection of pie models, the data structure that we have created, where we're going to supply all the values. Okay, so let's go ahead and create our view, which is going to be called pie. Okay, and we're going to just put some text here. And let's go ahead and call this. All right, so we can actually see what we are building while actually we are working on the code. Okay. Like I said, we're going to create two state variables. First one is going to be animate, which is going to dictate basically the animation is playing or not, and toggling on this basically going to animate the pie chart. The other one is going to be called slices, which is going to have pie model. Okay, it's basically going to be a collection of pie model. Now, as soon as we do this, we can actually start seeing a compile time error because we are not supplying the value. And what we can do is we can change the we can actually initialize it right here. We know where the values are going to come from, so we're going to simply say pie model or pie model dot sample. Okay, so essentially we are using our sample data in this, and you can change it to basically accept this slice as a parameterized value during the initialization. Okay, now inside the body property of the pie view, we want to add a vStack and a canvas. Now canvas gives us access to two properties in its closure, which is context, the context graphics context for the canvas, and the size. Okay, so we're going to basically create variable for both of them. All right, now we'll need to compute the total from all the slices so we can plot them inside a circle. Now for this, we will use reduce function to get a total of the total for the all values in the pie chart, and we're gonna basically add them, and we're gonna get the value for each slice by adding the running total. So it's gonna be really simple. We're gonna simply create a total variable, and we're gonna simply say slices dot reduce, and reduce takes an initial value. We're gonna say the initial value is going to be 0. Okay, and I'm going to close it right here. I'm going to use the closure. The first parameter is the initial value. Second parameter is basically the value that we are adding, which is each slice. So slice dot value. All right, so what's going to happen is this is going to create this closure right here. It's going to create a running total, and eventually what we're going to get is a complete total of all the slices combined together, which we're going to use to basically compute the total area that we want to plot for the pie chart. Okay, now let's move on to drawing the point to the center of the canvas view, and we can do this by computing the half of the width and height. Okay, so we already have the information about the size, and we can actually move the point by using context, which is a graphics context. So we're going to simply say context, okay, dot translate by, which is going to move the drawing point, and we're going to move the drawing point to half of the size dot width and half of the height, which is going to bring us right in the center. Okay, the drawing point is going to be right in the center, and now everything else that we're going to do is going to start from that position. Okay, now circle drawing starts horizontally, so let's move it vertically by rotating the context by 90 degrees. Okay, so we're going to first create a pie context, and gonna cache the basically the current context into pie context, and we're gonna say take pie context and rotate that by a degree of 90. Okay, then we will basically create a variable to compute the radius for the pie. All right, so radius, and this is going to be minimum between the size of the size and the width times 0.45, basically 45% of whatever the minimum is, whether width or height. So in case you're viewing this in landscape, it's basically going to consider the height and going to show a 45% radius, or give you the value of 45% of the radius for the height, otherwise the width. Okay, for the portrait mode. So size dot width, size dot height, whichever is smallest, take that and give the 45th percent of that value, which is going to give us the radius. Now it's time to start drawing the arc to draw the pie chart, and we will create and initialize the start angle and iterate over all the slices for the pie. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to compute our start angle, and the start angle is going to be starting from 0. Okay, so this is the very first slice that we are drawing, and it's for that value, and we're going to say for each slice in slices, we want to basically draw an arc. Now a circle is a 360 degree. So what we'll do is we'll compute angle for each slice based on its value against the total value, and that we can compute by basically simply calculating angle. So we're gonna create an angle object, and this value is gonna come in degrees, and we're gonna take 360, which is the total area for the circle, and we're gonna multiply it with a slice dot value, the current slice's value, and we're gonna divide the slice's value by total, and this is gonna give us the angle that we need to draw basically for the current slice that we are iterating over. Now we'll compute the end angle for the arc by adding the start angle and the computed angle. Now for the first one, the start angle is 0, so it's going to give you the end angle for the first slice where it should end, and that's where we're going to actually draw our arc. Start angle plus the computed angle. Okay, now we have everything we need to draw a path, so we are simply going to create a path and move the path to the position which is going to be 0, and we're going to add an arc. Okay, we are going to use the overload that takes center, radius, start angle, end angle, and clockwise. Okay, so our center is going to be always 0, so we're going to start from the center point for all the slices. The radius is going to be basically our computed radius. Start angle is essentially the start angle, and end angle is the end angle. Because we have computed everything, we just need to pass all those values. Now for the clockwise, we're going to simply pass false, and we're going to ask path to close the subpath, which is going to create the completed arc. So it's going to create that one slice. Okay, let's also set a fill and stroke color for each slice before looping over to the next slice. So let's update these and also update the start angle basically with the current slice's end angle, and this will basically connect all the slices together. Okay, so let's go ahead and use our pie context. Okay, so right underneath where the path is closed, we're going to use our pie context, and we're going to fill basically the path. So path is basically the path that we have recently drawn. Okay, and then we're going to basically color it with a color. So we're going to say dot color. Okay, and we're going to take the slice dot color, and let's set the opacity to 0.6. Okay, so it's going to basically draw that 0.6 path. Okay, now basically what's happening is what you're seeing is all the slices are being drawn from the same point because our start angle value has not changed. So we're going to change it in a minute, but we also want to set a stroke color. So let's go ahead and take the pie context and set the stroke color for this. Okay, and the stroke color is going to be first of all, we're going to pass the path, and we're going to say we want to color it with the color slice dot color, and in this case let's go ahead and also define the line width of 3 points. Okay, so what this is going to do is it's going to draw a line for each of the slice. Okay, now one of the other thing that we want to basically do is we want to actually assign the start angle to the last pie slice's end angle. So our new slice starts where our previous slice ended. Okay, so we can simply do that by saying start angle is equal to the end angle, And as soon as we do that, we're gonna basically get our complete pie created from the same center. Okay, now we'll basically add a rotation and scale animation to the canvas. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna come outside basically to the whole canvas. So I'm gonna collapse this and I'm gonna add a rotation effect with the angle, and we're gonna say if the animated, add a rotation of 270 points. For the anchor, center. Okay, so rotation anchored at center, basically animate 270 degrees. If animation is basically true, then set it to 0, otherwise degree of 270. Okay, all right, it's 0. That's my bad. Okay, all right, we're gonna add a scale effect. Okay, and we're gonna say when animating, so animation is true, set the scale to 1.0, otherwise set the scale to 0.0, and also anchor this at the center. All right, we also want to set the aspect ratio. So aspect ratio is gonna be 1, and we're gonna make sure our pie chart is always in content fit. Okay, all right, so right now you are not seeing any chart because our animate is false. So if we set it to true, we're gonna basically get to see our pie chart. Okay, now what we want to do is we also want to show basically a legend. So we're going to use a table to show the legend, and what we're going to do is we're going to use lazy vertical grid to create the legend table. Okay, and that legend table for chart is going to be created, and when you tap on that, we're going to basically animate the chart. Okay, so let's go ahead and really quickly right underneath our canvas, we're gonna add a V-stack first, and then lazy V-grid. All right, and for the columns, we're gonna say it's gonna be an adaptive okay, so grid item adaptive of minimum size of 120 points. Okay, so that's going to be our grid size, and then we're going to basically put a for each over slices for each slice, and we're going to basically draw an H stack. Okay, the H stack is going to have text slice.name, okay, to display the name. And we are also going to basically draw a circle with foreground style as the item or slice dot color dot gradient, and we're gonna set the frame for that circle as width of 20. So they are equal size circles, and there we have it. Now what we're going to do is we are going to set the tap gesture. So tap gesture, and we're gonna wrap this basically the change of this animate where we go right here, animate state property with inside with animation block. So we're gonna simply say animate dot toggle. Okay, and this will basically animate our chart really nicely. Okay, now you can actually add animation type. So animation dot, let's say spring animation with damping fraction of 0.3, and that'll make your animation bounce a little bit. Okay, so that's a little bit more nicer. All right, with that, we have reached the end of this video where you actually learned how to use Canvas API to draw your own custom pie chart and also pie chart with legend. So I would highly recommend you to try out with different values, different options, and continue to explore. And thank you so much for watching.